Will artificial intelligence take our jobs? New evidence suggests something much stranger may already be happening. AI may not be taking your job, it may be taking the job you needed before you could get the job. And if that continues, we could be quietly removing the first rung of the career ladder. This year in 2026, researchers at Stanford Digital Economy Lab published an updated study called Canaries in the Coal Mine. 6 facts about the recent employment effects of artificial intelligence. The researchers analyzed payroll records covering millions of American workers. At first, the results looked reassuring. They found no evidence of widespread economy-wide job displacement associated with AI. So at least for now, the AI job apocalypse hasn't happened. But when the researchers separated workers by age, something disturbing appeared. Among 22 to 25-year-olds in occupations highly exposed to AI, employment has fallen far behind young workers in less exposed occupation. The gap is now approximately 19%. That doesn't mean 19% of these young workers are unemployed. It means employment in that group is 19% lower than it would have been if it had followed the same trend as young workers in less AI-exposed jobs. And the gap is growing. In July 2025, it was around 15%. By June 2026, it had widened to 19%. Experienced workers don't show the same pattern. So what is happening? The researchers found that companies aren't primarily firing large numbers of young employees. Instead, they appear to be hiring fewer of them in the first place. And that distinction is extremely important. Imagine you run a company. You have an experienced employee who understands the business, understands your customers, and possesses 10 years of accumulated knowledge. AI doesn't necessarily make that person useless. It may make them considerably more productive. But now imagine you're about to hire a graduate to conduct basic research, prepare reports, analyze documents, write simple codes, or perform routine administrative work. You might begin to ask, do I really need another junior employee? Or can my experienced employee do that work with AI? Stanford uncovered another important clue. The decline was concentrated in occupations where AI tends to automate human tasks. But where AI is primarily used to augment workers, employment was flat or rising, particularly among experienced workers. So the real divide may not be between AI-exposed and non-AI-exposed jobs. It may be between jobs where AI replaces the worker's tasks and the jobs where AI amplifies the worker's ability. Stanford isn't the only institution that has detected these unusual patterns. Researchers at the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond found that since 2023, people from highly AI-exposed occupations have experienced particularly large declines in their chances of finding another job. However, AI appears to explain only part of the wider slowdown. Economic conditions are also affecting workers in occupations with little exposure to AI. And this is important. None of these studies prove that AI caused these changes. The Stanford researchers described their findings as early warning signs, not definitive causal evidence. Interest rates, industry changes, and the wider economy could also be contributing. But the pattern raises a much deeper question. How do people become experts? A senior programmer was once a junior programmer. A senior lawyer was once given basic legal research. A senior accountant once started with simple accounting work. People don't graduate from university and immediately become experts. They perform relatively simple tasks, they make mistakes, they watch experienced colleagues, and gradually they acquire tacit knowledge, the kind of practical understanding that cannot easily be learned from a textbook. Stanford found that young workers were particularly vulnerable in occupations relying on codified knowledge, formal information that can be documented, taught, and increasingly processed by AI. Experienced workers relying more heavily on tacit knowledge proved considerably more resilient, and that creates a paradox. For an individual company, automating junior work may be perfectly rational. But if every company does it, society could produce completely irrational outcomes. Imagine a law firm where AI performs most junior legal research. The senior lawyers become enormously productive. But 20 years later, where did the next generation of senior lawyers get their experience? Or consider a software engineering. If AI agents perform the simple coding, debugging, and documentation traditionally given to junior developers, how does a beginner accumulate the experience required to become an expert? This doesn't necessarily mean these professions will disappear, but the pathway into them may have to be completely redesigned. The future of work may not be AI versus human. It could be a smaller number of experienced humans, each controlling increasingly powerful AI systems, while the latter, the once transformed inexperienced people into experienced professionals, become narrower. And if that happens, the defining question of the AI era won't be, will AI take my job? It will be, if AI does the beginner's work, how does a beginner ever become an expert? Because AI may not need to replace an entire profession to transform the labor market. It only needs to remove the first rung of the ladder.